Let's continue with reaction after that IEC briefing. Let's bring in political analyst Lukhona Mnguni. Lukhona, thank you so much for making time. I think you and many others will agree that after what the IEC announced this afternoon, there's likely to be litigation, whichever way you look at it.
Clement, good afternoon, and afternoon to your viewers. There was always going to be litigation after this announcement, whether it is those who were aggrieved with the process and couldn't make the deadline of the 23rd August, or those who believe that there is no cause for the IEC within the prescripts of the Constitutional Court order to actually reopen for the submission of candidates, especially not in the wholesale fashion that they wish to do it, insofar as reopening it for everybody, and then those who do not change their details, they just simply confirm. The problem, Clement, with this is that the IEC is opening itself up to a very administrative burden that it tried to run away, as expressed in its own court papers to the Constitutional Court, when it said it is already in a tight deadline towards the elections, and therefore, granting prayers for a disruption of the timetable in terms of extending the submission of political party candidates or independent candidates would actually frustrate the process administratively. And I think now they are opening themselves up to exactly that. And the risk is that, Clement, you might end up with a very truncated process wherein they are trying to rush, whereas now the deadline was the 23rd of August. They had given themselves 2 weeks to certify the candidates by the 7th of September. Now, if they do that after the voter registration weekend, it would take us at least towards the beginning of October for them just to certify candidates who are running, which means they can't print ballot papers until such a time they have certified all the candidates, which could have implications on the logistics of the elections management process.
Yeah. The IEC's reasoning is that it's reasonably necessary for them to reopen this candidate list process because the people that will be registering on the weekend of the 19th of September will then be eligible to run for local office. And if they don't reopen that process, that would mean those people would be disadvantaged if they are registering and they want to run for office.
No, absolutely. Then, that's why I think the language of the Constitutional Court is quite clear. Reasonably necessary would mean that certify all those who met the deadline of the 23rd of August, insofar as there would be new people who are now eligible to stand or who were rejected by the system because they were not eligible to stand, so they didn't meet the 18 years mark. Then, of course, by all means necessary, have those registered, reasonably necessary, open for their registration as candidates. You would have already put into the system the ballot papers as they were, simply add them to what you have already prepared. But a wholesale opening, Clement, where you accommodate people who didn't meet the financial deadline to deposit the necessary money, people who were meant to register long before the deadline, because remember, registration is a continuous process. It's not only on voter registration weekend. Voter registration weekends are simply a roadshow for registration. So people who didn't do those things on time to meet the 23rd of August deadline, or at least at the closure of the voters' roll on the 4th of August, because we've always known when elections would be long into 2021, because President Ramaphosa announced that date of 27 October a long time ago. If you're in the business of elections, you should have registered your potential candidates at the local IEC offices or on the online platform that was there for registration. So I think, Clement, the wholesale opening of the candidate nomination system is definitely going to be met with a bit of resistance, and I foresee a serious litigation going forward on this issue.
The IEC also putting it very clear out there that there have been no issues with its online system as claimed by the African National Congress and also the UDM. The IEC saying that it's got good checks and balances. There are no fundamental weaknesses in the system as alleged. The system has given us 2 solid elections. They're essentially saying that the ANC and other parties who say that there have been glitches are lying.
No, indeed, they are, and they maintain that technically, they are watertight, their processes are above board, And that's why they were open to say anybody who feels aggrieved must approach the Electoral Court to seek the relief that they want, and therefore the IEC would defend its processes technically and otherwise in terms of deadline. The IEC informed the Constitutional Court that the initial deadline was the 16th of August, and then upon a consultation with the National Multi-Party Liaison Committee, they then decided that it must be moved to the 23rd of August. Not only that, Clement, they then moved the submission time deadline from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Now, it's quite amiss to then say the Constitutional Court is saying to you that timetable of the 4th of August is intact. It must hold. All that you need to do is to announce amendments, but only announce these amendments after the proclamation. What the IEC is now effectively doing is to announce amendments to the timetable before the proclamation that should follow on the 20th of September.